For more on the situation on the Korean Peninsula, I'm joined by Jim Walsh. He's research associate with the Securities Studies Program at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He's also done some traveling in North Korea. Let me get your sense of this because you can probably take us inside the heads of the leadership of the DPRK. Is this just another sign of saber rattling, would you say?
Well, I think that's what you have to assume. But of course, things are a little more tense now. I don't think we can escape that. Obviously, North Korea isn't going to start a war that it's going to lose, and it will lose any war that it starts, right? So South Korea has stronger conventional forces. The U.S. obviously has stronger conventional forces. The two combined would be overwhelming. There are very few countries in the international system that commit suicide, that launch wars knowing that they're going to lose and die in the process. That said, North Korea continues to make what feels like increasingly strange and more desperate threats. And so on the one hand, you got to ignore that, rationally, you got to ignore that, but it's unsettling. This is different. We're dealing with a different North Korean leader now than we did 2 years ago. So I think a lot of people are scratching their heads.
Jim, what's fueling this? Is it external or internal?
Great question. Absolutely the right question. Most countries' foreign policy is really domestic policy. People do stuff in their relationships with other countries when they're really trying to speak to an audience at home. And that's certainly possible for North Korea. The question is, we just don't know. This is the most closed society in the world. We have the Chinese watching, the Americans watching, the South Koreans watching. They always, they get it wrong because it's so closed. This is a hard problem. My guess is there's always a domestic component. This is probably part of the young Kim consolidating his position at home, even as he takes a strong stance towards the world. The problem here, though, is they keep doing things that other states normally don't do, that are sort of not part of the normal rules. So when you say, as North Korea did today, that they're going on their highest level of alert, if you don't mean that, then the next time you go on the highest level of alert and you want countries to actually pay attention to that, they might, it's the crying wolf, they might not take it seriously. So I worry that North Korea says a bunch of stuff and then people don't take it seriously, and then that may cause problems down the road.
Jim, I saw an interview with you, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and you said, well, the one thing that's not going to happen is sanctions. These people have been sanctioned to death. And then we did get more sanctions, but they don't seem to be working. Is there a correct response?
First of all, you don't have enough to do if you're watching interviews with me from 4 years ago. You need to get a life and do something differently. That's my first comment. Secondly, the sanctions thing, I think that, a lot of people in the U.S., all they want to do is blame China. It's China's problem. I feel bad for China. They've got North Korea on its border. The U.S. has Mexico and Canada. China has North Korea. And so they're sort of in a bind here. Sure, let's sanction them, but if you sanction them and they collapse, then that's, on your border if you're China. That's a problem on your border. And this is a country that is obviously willing to defy China, as it has the last 6 months. So do I think the next, you pass 100 sanctions bills, is the 101st sanction bill going to be all the difference, going to change the day? No, I don't think it will. What I worry about is trying to have some stability. I'm not looking for big victories over the next couple of years. I'm looking for us to try to get through these next 2-3 years. New leader in North Korea, new leader in South Korea, new leader in China, and so there are a lot of moving parts. I hope our goal here should be stability and try to get through this next period of time.
Jim, we're out of time. Thanks so much for joining us from Massachusetts, and it was great watching when I saw you 4 years ago. You look great tonight, too. Thanks so much.